All right. Corey, Buffalo Bills. Get the last one.
All right. Um, Honestly, I feel like Buffalo's going to be just as quick as the Jets, just for the exact opposite reason. Um, when it comes to the coach, McDermott, I think has proven himself to be one of the better head coaches in the NFL. He's done a fantastic job. The Bills organization has been patient with him, and I think that patience has been rewarded. Um, Offensively, my only real knock against them is the running back position, and they're not really doing a lot to upgrade it. Um, Allen's put himself in a class to put at the top of the NFL when it comes to quarterbacks. I really like their wide receiver depth. Khalil, I just lost his last name. The wide receiver out of Boise State. He
Khalil
had a really good
Shakur.
showing. Shakur,
Shakur.
there we go.
Mm-hmm.
He had a really good showing in the opening preseason game against Indy. Overall, their depth looks really good. Their offensive line should be pretty good. I think they got to get more production out of the running backs. As I mentioned earlier with the Commanders, if Antonio Gibson is at all on the market, I think they should, as quickly as possible, make that phone call and try to get him. I think he would immediately be the best running back on their roster.
Best running back?
Yeah, it's the Moss and the guys they have just been okay. We'll see what Cook can do as a rookie, but I mean, I don't know that he's going to come in and steal the starting job and be the guy. I think they've got enough to get by with a rotation, but I just think their offense would take another step if they went out and got a legit RB1. Defensively, I think if the unit stays healthy, they've got one of the best defenses in the NFL. I think they're going to need their second-year edge rushers and Russo and Epinesa to take that next step as second-year edge guys typically do. But on the whole, I think they've not only got quality all throughout that roster, especially with Tre'Davious White coming back healthy, but I think they've got depth at every position, which is something you need to be able to make a run deep in the playoffs. So overall, I expect Buffalo to compete at the top of the AFC this year. When picking through games, I had them at 14-3. I don't know if they'll get quite that high, but I do have really high expectations for them. I expect them to be there at the end of the AFC playoffs. And barring injury, I see no reason why they can't potentially make a run.
All right. Buffalo Bills, same way. It's going to be pretty quick. Quick is a good thing, guys, because they're so loaded. Sean McDermott is one of the best coaches in the NFL. For 5 seasons, he only had one losing season. And he was one win away from the AFC Championship game. I mean, and that game was like classic. Maybe you could probably say 13 seconds, to be honest. They were away from the AFC Championship game. And who knows, they might have gone to the Super Bowl. So, I don't know if you get Josh Allen the ball in OT against that Bengals defense. I don't know if he seals the deal. I would bet on him too. But that's just me. So I think so I had to look up what Sean McDermott coaching tree is, and he's from the Andy Reid coaching tree. Same with Ron Rivera. I didn't know that. I was like, oh, but they're from the Andy Reid coaching tree, which is pretty cool. Andy Reid has his hands everywhere. Maybe for Sean McVay. I don't know. Andy Reid's coaching trees might be bigger than we expect. Anyway, the Bills get better every year, and I like the offensive coordinator too, Ken Dorsey, who was a phenomenal quarterback at the Miami Hurricanes, the U. I don't think he lost a season in college. And I think he's going to pick up right where Brian DeBoer left off. which is important, I think, for the consistency of Josh Allen. The same terminology when your offensive coordinator leaves and you hire the quarterbacks coach. I think it's instant success because the quarterbacks coach and the quarterback have that relationship. So it's going to be the offense is going to be exactly where it was last year. It's going to be no drop off. Josh Allen's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I think the pressure is different. Now the Bills are a Super Bowl contender, and that pressure is different. Can you uphold expectations? Hold on one second. So then you got the running backs. I agree with Corey. Devin Singletary needs to be a lot better, but I think he does what is good for the Bills offense. I also like the receiving core. Stephon Diggs is a top 5 receiver. Gabriel Davis also is phenomenal, and he should look to build on the playoff success from last year. And then they have Dawson Knox, so their offense is loaded. And then they have the O-line to protect it. The defense has a chance to be the number 1 in the NFL. The edge rushers, once again, Von Miller's back, which he should help AJ Espinosa take that next step. And Tremaine Edmonds and Matt Milano are really good linebackers. Edmonds moves side to side. The cornerbacks, Tre'Davious White did suffer a bad injury last year, so he looks to bounce back. But they got Khalil Lamb, who's making a really early impact. And then they have the best safety duo in the NFL. Overall prediction is I think the expectations are heightened. They have everything to succeed as a franchise, and it's time for them to just get to the Super Bowl, and they just might. This year might be their year. So let's see if they take the next step. And I got them going 13-4, securing home field. All right. Mo, Buffalo Bills. All right. Craig.
What was it? Okay. McDermott. I obviously I like Sean McDermott. He was with the Panthers, so no reason not to like him. But I think he's done a really good job in Buffalo, turn that team around. And now he's got the team as one of the better teams in the league, a Super Bowl contender. So no reason not to think that they're not going to be in the mix again this year. This year. Like you said, they were 13 seconds away from going to the AFC Championship game, and just bad coaching. And I mean, I don't know, man. That's just a tough way to lose. Then they went to overtime. Obviously, that's when they lost the game. But you know, it is what it is, man. Hopefully, this year they can put that behind them and make a way to get back to the playoffs. Obviously, it should be easy for them, and then just get to the AFC Championship game, possibly the Super Bowl after that. So, look, obviously the quarterback. I mean, it's not going to be long. Quarterback, obviously, Josh Allen. He's probably going to have an MVP type season. Should be really, really easy for him this year. The wide receivers. I mean, Stephon Diggs. I know he is one of the better wide receivers in the league, but looking at his stats, he had a down year compared to the previous year. So, and the down year for him was a great year for a lot of receivers in the league. So, just the expectations that he's put on himself as being a top 5 wide receiver in the league. Expect him to be right up there again. I like Gabriel Davis. I think it was a game against Kansas City. He had a really good game against them. I think he had like 3 or 4 touchdowns, I think, something like that. Was that right? So yeah. So I kind of expect that from that last game to carry over to this year. Now that he's going to be like a number 2 possibly receiver for that team. I know they went out and got Jamison Crowder. He should step in and be a solid receiver as well, a veteran receiver for that group. They also still have Dawson Knox. So they have some guys there. Obviously, the Achilles heel has been the running game. So it kind of reminds me of New England and San Francisco, where they have like a combination of guys. Singletary and Moss have been there what seems like a while now, like forever. It seems like as far back as I can remember. Then they go out and they get Cook. So hopefully he can come in as a rookie and shake some things up. Maybe he could be the next guy there. I mean, he could be the next running back there. But Singletary is still young as well, so I just don't think they utilize him as much. Maybe is that because they don't really believe in him, or they just don't give him touches. I mean, he had less than 200 touches last year, so maybe if he had more, but I mean, who knows? The offensive line should be solid again. They have some really good pieces on that offensive line. It's going to block for Josh Allen, so shouldn't be any issues there. The defense, obviously, the Bills had the best defense in the league last year. I don't see any reason why they won't have a top 2, top 3 defense again. Russo, who I love coming out of college. That just the whole front four: Russo, Miller, Jones, and Oliver. Like that, those
beasts. They're beasts.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best front four I think in the NFL, or at least their top 3. Then you got Tre'Davious White and Dane Jackson, Micah Hyde, like these Jordan Poyer, how do you say his name? He's back there. Like they have a really great defense. So I don't see any reason why they're not going to be in the mix again. And this is just going to help lead their team. Obviously, you get MVP play on the offensive side as long as the running game is somewhat consistent, and you get a great defense on the other side. So I think they do start out 0-1, but I think after that loss to the Rams, they pick it up, and then kind of like the Packers did last year, and they just go on a nice run, and then they finish up 13-4.
Yeah, I think they have. I think they have all the tools to succeed. So, yeah, I think this year it's wide open. I think they get home field. So
yeah.
I will say replacing Brian Dable, I think, is a bit of an underrated story there in Buffalo, but I think they have enough in place with Josh Allen. He's grown to the point that I think that transition is made a lot easier as well.
Yeah, I read, Ken Dorsey's not changing anything major. He's keeping the same consistent and
Dorsey's an interesting hire. He's was a quarterback at the U when they at the tail end of their runs. He hung around the NFL for a while as a backup, and being making rosters as being a quarterback room type guy. So
yep.
I think he's an interesting young candidate that if the Bills, the next 2 seasons continue their success, will probably have his name getting talked about for head coaching opportunities.